Thousands of people are being sent back every week across Europe. The rules are changing rapidly, and countries that once welcomed migrants are now closing their borders. This time, the situation is not solely political, it is intensely personal. From Denmark to France, leaders assert they are restoring control, claiming to protect their nations and fix broken systems. However, critics warn this marks the toughest crackdown in modern European history. Deportation flights are taking off every night, and border walls are rising again. Even Sweden and Finland, historically known for their humanitarian values, are now joining this wave. Families are being separated, camps are being cleared, and orders are being sealed tight. Yet, one fundamental question remains: why now? Is this motivated by safety, or is it driven by power and politics? 7. Denmark. Denmark, once renowned for its kindness and robust welfare system, previously opened its doors to those in need. By 2025, that image has completely transformed. The same country that once aided refugees is now spearheading Europe's deportation wave. In 2024, Denmark approved only 860 asylum cases, the lowest number ever recorded. This is more than a policy shift, it is a clear warning to the rest of Europe. The government has enacted a law permitting the sending of migrants abroad for asylum processing. Some have dubbed this a Rwanda-style system, moving people to foreign centers far from Danish soil. Officials justify this as a measure for control and security, but human rights groups condemn it as cold, unethical, and potentially illegal. Across the country, entire neighborhoods labeled parallel societies are being dismantled. Families who have lived peacefully for years are being ordered to relocate. The government claims this will enhance integration. Opponents, however, describe it as a form of social engineering, using laws to redesign society. Even the EU court has cautioned Denmark that its policies may violate basic rights. Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen remains resolute, stating that this is not about hatred but about survival. 6. Italy. Italy has found a novel approach to its migration crisis, outsourcing it abroad. In 2025, the Italian government opened offshore migrant centers in Albania, a plan unprecedented in modern Europe. Each center is designed to hold up to 3,000 people at a time, keeping them far from Italian territory. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni hailed this as a bold step for national security, but human rights organizations denounced it as a betrayal of Europe's moral values. Shortly thereafter, Italy passed tougher laws targeting NGO rescue ships, which save migrants from drowning at sea. Now, if these ships bring people to Italian ports, they face heavy fines and potential seizure. Meloni argued that the primary goal was to stop smugglers and protect Italy's borders. The situation escalated on August 1, 2025, when Europe's top court ruled the Albania deal unlawful. Judges declared that Italy cannot circumvent asylum rights by moving its borders to another country. Yet, instead of complying, Rome intensified its efforts. More centers were planned, more ships were stopped, and more people were caught in legal limbo. For Italy, this was not defiance, it was a strategy. The message from Rome was unambiguous: Europe's borders begin beyond Europe. While Italy projected its boundary outward, another country was constructing a formidable wall inward, earning the name Fortress Poland. 5. Poland. On the border with Belarus, Poland has erected a structure reminiscent of the Cold War era. A massive €400 million wall now stretches nearly 190 kilometers, cutting through forests, rivers, and rural villages. It is constantly guarded by drones, motion sensors, and armed soldiers. While some view it as merely a wall, Poland sees it as a shield, a line separating Europe from chaos. The government calls it the New Iron Curtain. Officials claim the barrier is essential to halt illegal crossings and counter hybrid attacks orchestrated by Belarus. Warsaw alleges that migrants are being weaponized, pushed across the border by hostile powers. In 2025, Poland passed new emergency laws that completely suspend asylum rights at that specific frontier. Now, anyone caught entering illegally can be immediately expelled without a hearing or a lawyer. Human rights groups have labeled the border zone a black hole of law. However, in Warsaw, there is little hesitation. For many Poles, this is not about migration, it is about security and survival. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki maintains that the wall safeguards Europe's eastern flank from manipulation and fear. He insists, if we don't defend our border, we don't defend Europe. As the steel panels climb higher, one truth becomes evident. For Poland, this is not just policy, but defense on the front line of a silent war. 4. Finland. For many years, Finland was considered a safe and peaceful country, known for helping refugees, upholding humanitarian values, and avoiding political conflict. That has now changed dramatically. In early 2025, Finland executed more than 1,300 deportations, the highest number in its history. The country is also constructing a €380 million fence along its Russian border. This fence is technologically advanced, incorporating cameras, motion sensors, and radar systems to monitor all movement. The government argues that Russia is deliberately directing migrants toward Finland, a strategy they term weaponizing migration, to use refugees as a tool of pressure and create internal problems. Consequently, Finland has begun tightening its asylum rules. Border crossings are now restricted, patrols have increased day and night, and entry points that were open for years are now completely closed. Human rights groups contend this violates international laws, but Finnish leaders maintain they must protect the country first. They believe their actions are rooted in defense, not hatred. The country once known for peace and trust is now filled with fences and guards. Even the quiet forests are monitored by cameras and drones. Finland declares this the new reality, safety before sympathy. As Finland locks down its frozen borders, a different kind of battle, one concerning identity and belonging, is being fought in Western Europe. 3. Sweden. For many years, Sweden was celebrated as Europe's most open country, accepting more refugees per person than any other nation in the European Union. In 2015, thousands arrived weekly, and Sweden welcomed them with homes, schools, and hope. Today, the situation is drastically different. In 2024, only 6,250 people were granted asylum, a nearly 90% drop since 2015. This figure shocked many Swedes who had grown up believing in compassion and equality. The government has also introduced new, strict laws. Deportation orders now never expire. Once issued, they remain valid indefinitely. Furthermore, citizenship can be revoked from dual citizens convicted of serious crimes. Officials justify these measures as necessary to protect national safety and public trust. Critics, however, warn that Sweden is undergoing a fundamental shift, from a symbol of kindness to a model of control. The same nation that once promised refuge now sends warning signals across Europe. The prevailing sentiment has shifted from, "You are welcome," to, "Follow our rules, or leave." Even Sweden's close allies question what happened to the humanitarian heart that once defined it. For many Swedes, this issue is no longer solely about migration. It touches upon identity, values, and the fear of losing what made them unique. 2. Germany. For years, Germany was the core of Europe's open-door policy. When the refugee crisis peaked in 2015, Angela Merkel famously declared, "We can do this." Millions arrived, and for a period, Germany became a symbol of hope and humanity. By 2025, that era seems long past. Berlin has introduced the Repatriation Improvement Act, a law designed to accelerate deportations and tighten entry regulations. By early 2025, over 6,000 deportations had already occurred, with officials anticipating thousands more. The most significant shock was Germany's decision to resume deportation flights to Afghanistan, a country still ravaged by conflict and fear. Human rights groups called the move inhumane and dangerous, but the government defended it as a necessary reset. The new laws allow for homes to be searched and for people to be held longer before deportation. Critics argue that compassion has been replaced by cold efficiency. Supporters contend that Germany has no alternative, citing an overloaded asylum system and pressure on its cities. For many Germans, the shift is not about outright rejection, it is about restoring balance. The change is undeniable. The same nation that once led Europe with welcome signs now leads it with warning letters. 1. France. In France, immigration has devolved into a national identity crisis. Following the 2023 riots, the government concluded that it had reached a breaking point, labeling the situation a matter of national survival, a new type of border war inside its own cities. In 2024, France carried out more than 22,000 forced removals, the highest number in all of Europe. Paris ordered the clearing of migrant camps, particularly around the capital and northern ports. Hundreds of people were relocated overnight, and anyone with a criminal record was swiftly deported. Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin stated the goal was simple: restore order. He promised that France would once again be a country of law, not chaos. Critics argue that these actions have gone too far, asserting that France, once proud of its human rights legacy, is now undermining it. To the government, it is about safety and control. To activists, it represents a moral collapse, a country abandoning its core values. Even within Europe, France's methods are seen as the toughest. Yet, leaders in Paris insist this is the only way to protect the Republic, believing that if France fails, so does Europe's stability. France is not merely enforcing the rules, it is rewriting them, setting the stage for a new Europe that decides who belongs and who does not. Conclusion: safety, politics, and values. Europe's migration crisis has entered its most difficult chapter yet. Behind every wall, every deportation flight, and every border fence, there lies one clear truth: public anger now rules policy, not compassion. From Denmark's strict laws to France's mass raids, the message echoed across Europe is the same: control first, empathy later. When the politics of safety clash with human rights, borders cease to divide land, they begin to divide values. What started as a temporary fix has evolved into a continental shift. As 2025 unfolds, one question persists: what kind of Europe will remain when they're gone? The narrative of migration in Europe has definitively shifted from arrival to removal. 7 nations, 7 distinct strategies, yet one unified message: borders now determine who belongs. Do these crackdowns truly protect stability, or do they ultimately destroy Europe's spirit?